Hello, you're welcome to Clear Minds and Self Healing. My name is Aso, and I'm really excited to have you back here today with me. I want to thank my loyal subscribers and encourage the new people watching to subscribe and turn on the notification button. I upload content every Saturday morning, and that will remind you to join us in these conversations. Today, I want to talk about metaphorical locks and keys that we deal with in life. Some are handed to us at birth, and some of them we create ourselves. And as far as these locks and keys are concerned, some of them are unique qualities that we come into this life with. Qualities that are instilled in us by our parents from birth, either by the amazing secure attachment models that are handed down to us, how we were loved and nurtured and stimulated, how we were pushed and challenged, and how they cultivated great work ethics in us, or in other cases, the complete contrary. Neglect, abuse, trauma, and other aspects that scarred us, that fractured our sense of self-worth, and in that essence impacted on how we see the world, how we see ourselves, and how we reach for opportunities, whether we have the mindset to open doors or to lock them, whether we even recognize them as doors. And that's what I want you to reflect with me on today. Because as much as we come from similar or separate circumstances, some people use what they are presented in life, those keys, those unique opportunity keys and values that we are all brought into this life with. Some of us use them to lock ourselves in. We lock ourselves into victim positions because we feel fractured ourselves, because we are unable to see ourselves as meeting the levels of the other people around us, whose voices are louder, whose images appear to be cleaner than, more polished than ours. And so we find that we are struggling with the confidence and the sense of self-worth to fit ourselves into those relationships, companies, or social aspects. The second group of people, they turn into villains. They're fueled by anger, by self-centeredness, by blame and hate and competition. And this makes them burn down the bridges in their lives. This makes them build up walls of defense and aggression. And they run down the family members who are there caring for them. They exhaust them. They feel entitled to their quest, to their demands, to their revenge and their hate. They get into other aspects like addictions, and that only escalates the already existent feelings. They develop those macho and egos that pretend that they don't care or they are not hurt, even when they are breaking up inside. And then you have a third group of people who come out, whether from positive or negative upbringings, and decide to build their hero identities. They go through life as heroes. They do everything to overcome challenges because not reaching the goals will be shortcomings for their families. They either want to share the joys that they brought from their own past, or to ensure that those they love don't go through the trauma and the hurt and the pain that they experience. So what they cultivate is a sense of a hero, caring, loving, giving identity to themselves and to the world. And then you find that there's a final group of people who are lost or stagnant or lazy. They don't identify their values as keys that can open or lock any doors. They don't see themselves as capable. And they either waste or bury or give away their keys, give them consciously or unconsciously when angry, stealing people come snatching. And as we reflect today on the possible metaphorical locks and keys that we are handed at birth, I want you to ask yourself which of those identities you're feeding. At which of those zones are you sitting? Has life driven you to victim mood, where you're ducked and waiting for the other shoe to drop? Or are you the villain who is smashing things down and running relationships down and claiming endless battles and coming home and just neglecting the trophies, feeling self-centered, not seeing the pain of others because they are entitled by the hate and blame that had been placed on them as well? Because if we can reflect on those keys and find the strength and the intelligence to moderate our victims and villains and feed our heroes, you will find that we are reaching and achieving more, because we have every little bit of all those 4 characteristics in us. But the difference is who you're feeding, who you're nurturing, and how you're able to manage all of them to bring out. Sometimes you need the villain to smash doors, some concrete walls, to smash them down and let you out, and then you can put them back in the cage and lock that door and keep them to live to fight another day. How do we cultivate and manage and nurture each one of those identities? By education. Because for some of us, your villain will be the health issue that you're dealing with, what it brings out of you, the emotions that it brings out of you. So you educating yourself on depression, abuse, illness, or whatever it is that you're dealing with is going to fuel you with that confidence to crawl out of victim position. What are you doing with your emotional keys? How do you manage them? How do you regulate? How do you lock the doors of the darkness and the hate and the anger when they start pushing out, and open the doors of light and hope and love? Because you have to learn to manage and regulate those as you go along life every day. And all of us have inheritance keys. We inherited something or the other from our parents, from our upbringing. And you don't have to get stuck in those inherited identities. Whether they are positive or negative, you have to put your own stamp on them. Our parents and forefathers gave us what they could in their own lifetime. It becomes inappropriate to sit in them now, because we've advanced, because you're your own person. So crying because of that inherited key, that inherited health, that inherited problem or relationship is not going to change yesterday's keys and turn them to today's keys. That's a job that you need to do. Learning to lock the chapters of yesterday and only bring over value that is valuable for today. Open the chapters of today and keep tomorrow's chapter at lock until tomorrow comes. Because if you start to worry about tomorrow's problems today and bring over yesterday's problems to today, today has no chance. So which doors are you opening and which doors are you locking? And then I want you to reflect on spiritual keys, because that's something that a lot of us neglect. There's a lot of value in religion, and whether you're brought up religiously or not, it's not an excuse for you to not adopt those values. We go and learn meditation. We go and learn yoga. We dance. We learn everything. And if you find that there is value in religion, you need to embrace it. Because that's something that really teaches us the value of forgiveness intelligently. And as I went through Sunday school and I heard some of those lessons, they never made sense to me. When God said to Peter in Matthew 18:21, that you don't only have to forgive your brother 7 times, you have to forgive 7 times, 70 times, following Peter's question. I remember as a child reflecting, why on earth will a God we worship tell anybody to forgive wrongdoing 7 times, 70 times? It's almost as if you're telling the villain to keep coming for me. But as I reflected on that message today, it's because God is telling us to keep walking away from the villain 7 times, 70 times. Keep walking away from the darkness. Keep opening the lights of love and joy and happiness against all the odds that you're going to keep facing in life. 7 times, 70 times when people come for you, when health comes for you, when poverty comes for you, when hate comes for you, when the darkness comes for you. Seek the light, seek happiness, seek joy, seek humanity. And finally, it made sense. He was not endorsing wrongdoing or hateful behavior. He was pushing you to be a self-healing human, to be a happy person, to seek your life, to build your hero identity consistently, as opposed to building the villain and the victim ones. And I want you to look at this message and then ask yourself, what people have you surrounded yourself with? Are they opening doors or are they locking them for you? What life are you living for yourself? Is it one that enables you to open doors for those around you? Or is your own state of life your victim or villain mood locking doors up for those who are waiting for you to rescue them, to support and love and nurture them? What education are you creating around those circumstances to elevate you to a position of knowledge and awareness so that you can better manage your victim and villain and hero identities? We are all overcomers, but the only way it works is if you take that action and step into the unknown. Open those doors that seek light over darkness, over and over again. And consistently lock those doors that remind you, those memory keys that keep popping up to tell you that you should be hateful to this person because your parents were hateful to that person. Those family relationships that were fractured and we inherited them. We hate those relatives without even understanding why our parents hated them, why our parents didn't speak to them. And we need to reflect and build our own intelligence, our own resilience, our own forgiving minds. So today, I want you to make that phone call. I want you to send that text message. I want you to put down that hateful feeling. Put your villain in a cage. Beg and stroke and nurture your victim and heal them and bring them out of that ducking position. Get out of that stagnant dead zone where your keys have no value. Your voice hasn't been heard. Your story hasn't been told. Because you're losing the value in that story that you need to bring into the world. You have an amazing value in this lifetime. You have a huge success key in your hand. You also have tragic locks, which are louder than the keys and the messages and the value. So learn to lock them up. Learn to open them up. Learn to seek your light. Learn to be a door opener for you and for those that you love. And start by sharing this message so that we can remind those that we love to reflect on their Matthew messages. Reflect. 7 times 70. I did the math. It's 490 times, but I bet you he meant even more than that. I bet you he meant infinitive. That's how often you have to seek light over darkness. Thank you for reflecting with me. And believe it or not, I'm taking my own lessons to heart as I speak to you. And I take my own steps. And I nurture my own hero identities over my own villain identities. Because we all have them, including me. So walk with me, reflect with me, and serve with me. Thank you.